Have you ever felt in danger?
Not really. I've had a few sort of dodgy incidents.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'll tell the story a bit, but I had a passenger who smashed one of the windows of my taxi. And he's a bit hammered and he's being a bit rude and aggressive. He gets his girl out, he gets out, and I'm thinking, oh, he's going to do something to the cab, whatever. I'm just like, I'm going to just floor it and go.
Yeah.
And as I go, he just...
Do most people tip taxi drivers these days?
Yeah, and it's weird because I always assumed it was like a cash thing, whereby if it was like an £8 fare, someone just chucks you a tenner and goes, oh, keep change, driver.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, if it's just ingrained in them, like tipping culture, they just go, bosh, tip, just...
Right.
Yeah, the same way if you go to a restaurant, yeah, cool, just chuck a tip on. It was the strangest thing in the world to me because, again, coming from a retail background, I'm like, I've never received tips. Like, what's this about?
Yeah.
And when I had my mate's dad talking about, oh, yeah, these people tip, and I'm like, what? And even times when I screw up the journey and I say to him, oh, I'm sorry, like, I should have done that left there. I've knocked some money off the meter.
Yeah.
I still just chuck the tip back on or whatever.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Is there a certain like demographic of people who are good tippers as opposed to people who don't tip? Like I would assume, and this is just me just being ignorant here, but younger people don't tip.
But then if you catch like a guy who's on a date with a chick, he's like, yeah, I'll stick a tip on there. Yeah. I'm that kind of guy. I'm like,
yeah. Right. Fair.
Yeah, and then maybe there's different thoughts and opinions on this. I think women are possibly better tippers, but then they might have worked more in hospitality, so it's more of a norm for them.
Okay, yeah. Because I used to work in Bella Italia,
right.
So I used to rely on tips when I was like 19, 20. So I'm a good tipper because of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and some people get it. And I don't really care if I don't. I mean, it's, as long as they pay the meters, the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you haven't said that. Have you ever had anyone run from you?
Yeah.
Not pay? You have?
Yeah. Not a lot, but yeah.
More than once, though.
What? Yeah. How does that feel? Like, what? Talk us through that. What's happened? Like,
what example do I want to give?
Is it always the kind of like, without being ignorant, is it always the kind of people you expect, the drunk people?
No, because sometimes you pick up someone and like they just look like a complete mess.
Right.
And you're like, my God's up here.
Right.
I've got this on. And they might give you the biggest tip afterwards.
Right.
It might be someone who you think they're a bit crazy or mental and you just have no idea. It's a real great lesson in just never judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest loss you've had from a runner?
When I first got out, I had a couple. I picked them up at King's Cross. I was coming to like the end of my shift anyway, and I hadn't built up the muscle or reflex of kind of like just driving past someone if they don't look quite right. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, cool, we'll pick up anyone. Sick. Yeah. I'm a taxi driver. Hooray. And they get in and they wanted to go up to like Tottenham way. And then we're going up towards Tottenham and then the journey just kept getting further and further. And the type of people they were, how loud they were, how drunk they were. I won't go too much into the details, but I just kind of, in my head, it's like, I'm not getting the fare out of this, you know?
But you knew in advance.
Yeah, and it's like, I know I'm going home. Like, it's in my going home direction.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, look, I'm just going to swallow that one. Don't engage with it. Like, don't get out of the taxi. Because what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And
what can you do?
Not a great deal.
Right.
Like, even if, like, it's a 15 quid fare in town, like, and I get in an argument with someone or like, you know, you make chase or something off them. What is that really good? Is it really worth it, 15 quid?
Yeah.
For how often it happens?
And you could get beat up and worse. Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
especially with London and stuff. So
yeah.
Just the worst is like when people try and give you like fake notes. Because if I do that, then I actually am kind of losing out more money.
Right.
Before, it's just time. Like I don't really look at the meter and sort of think, oh, that's my money. It's just like, I just go out, work my hours.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't really see the connection with the money.
Do you get offered fake notes a lot?
Not a great deal, but again, from retail and just handing over notes and stuff, I feel like I'm pretty good at spotting them, you know?
Well, big question. What's the most memorable experience you've ever had in your taxi?
It's a difficult one, though, because I think as humans, we always remember like the more negative, well, at least I do anyway.
Yeah,
the more negative experiences.
I'm the same. I can get like 1,000 nice comments online. I'll get one negative and I'll be like, oh, I'm not like that. Yeah, it's mad. Yeah, it's
mad. Know yeah.
It's human nature. I've got to try and be better at that. But yeah, that is a thing.
So for all of these kind of like fun instances, people who've done runners, like 99.9% of people who get in a taxi are like good as gold.
Yeah.
I think some of the most memorable ones are like, either you pick up someone who's having a really bad day, And like, you know, it might even be a little bit rude when they get in. And I just know that it's never like on me. And then you break it down a bit, you have a nice conversation with them, you get to the bottom of it, and then something might have happened in their day. And by the time they get out of the taxi at the other end, they're like a different person.
Right.
You've kind of almost like been a positive influence in their day.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just remembering that kind of always have that lever I can sometimes pull, I guess.
Have you ever felt in danger?
Not really. I've had a few sort of dodgy incidents.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'll tell the story a bit, but I had a passenger who smashed one of the windows of my taxi.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. So I picked him up like around the kind of Mayfair area. He was in Piccadilly.
Yeah.
And he just gets in and he just goes, oh, take me to a kebab shop. And it's probably about 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, so he's hammered.
He's hammered. I'm
Yeah.
thinking I just want to go home. He's with his girl. And I'm thinking, right, whereabouts is he living or staying? Because A, I'm in Mayfair, so finding a kebab shop.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, if it was near a station, like if he wants to get back to a station, there'd be loads of kebab shops near a station. So I was like, well, where are you going? Where are you heading to? Because there's no point me driving away from an area and he wants to end up in Victoria, say. So I was like, and his girlfriend let slip that they were staying at one of the hotels on Park Lane. Cool, fine. So I know I've got to kind of stay in this area. I don't want to go too far away. And he's a bit hammered and he's being a bit rude and aggressive. And I've come up with the idea of one on Curzon Street, and it's like a Lebanese place. I think he'd been there the night before. Drop him there, and it's closed. I'm like, sorry, mate, it's closed. He's going, oh, well, there must be something else around here. And I'm like, well, and I just basically just played the charm offensive. I didn't really want this guy in my cab anymore.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm really sorry. Like, I'm new to this.
Yeah.
I mean, I've probably been out like 3 years at that point. I'm so new. Like, I'm the humble. And I was like, just don't worry about it. The fare's on me. You know, you're good. Like, you're good for the fare. He's like, oh yeah, I'm good for the fare. And I was like, what? He's like, you're telling me you can't find a kebab shop in this area? I'm like, yeah, there's not one in this immediate area. He goes, immediate area? That's not the right kind of word. I'm like,
what?
Yeah, immediately around here. There's nothing around here.
Yeah.
And he gets his girl out. He gets out, and I'm thinking, oh, he's going to do something to the cab, whatever. Grabs both hands on the door, like to go shut it, and just, you can see he's getting some like real force behind it. And he just probably puts everything in it to try and slam the door. On the new taxis, they've actually got this really good seal around the edge, so it kind of creates a bit of a vacuum as the door shuts. So we just done it, and the door just shut. I'm like, so I'm literally in drive, door shut.
And he's
boom.
not paid you.
He's not paid me. I'm like, I've just lost it, whatever,
Yeah.
fine. I'm just like, I'm going to just floor it and go.
Yeah.
And as I go, I can't remember if it was his left hand, right hand, he just takes a hook, a swing at the cab, and just punches a hole straight through the rearmost passenger
Fucking
window.
God, that's a solid punch.
Yeah, I'm like, good, I'm glad I didn't get out and what would I have done? Excuse me.
What did you report him? Like, what?
Well,
did you do?
I knew what hotel he was at, so I went to the hotel, said, look, this guest, etc., whatever. But I say London's just so lawless that a lot of the time this sort of stuff just
Yeah.
You just have to
bear the
take
cost
that
of
cost
it.
as well, yeah.
Yeah, just phone at the insurance company, get it done on the windscreen excess, and
Fair play.
but then of course the real thing is I'm out of work.
Yeah.
It's not the cost. It's like, well, okay, I can't go to work until it's fixed.
Yeah.
Which could be.
With drunk people, how often are they sick in the back?
I've never had a puker.
Have you not?
Yeah.
Have you not?
Never.
Wow.
I've been a puker
Oh, you prick.
in a
You
taxi.
prick.
And I don't even know what happened.
What?
I was on a work night out a few years ago and I fell over a bench backwards and hit my head on the floor, and they were going to call an ambulance for me, but apparently I was coming round. Next thing I knew, I woke up in my bed in the morning and my mate was like, you threw up all over the taxi, and we got charged like 80 quid. And I was like, I just had to send him 80 quid. I was like, I'm so sorry. And it was sick all over my clothes, so I don't think it's lying to me. But I don't remember any of it at all.
Wow.
So I apologise to that driver.
Do you have a list of fines and how much you can fine people for each thing?
So if someone's sick, or it's called a soiling charge.
Okay.
So if they wet themselves, whatever
Yeah.
they do with the taxi, it's £60.
Right.
Which you could argue, depending where in the like, if I pick up someone who's hammered in the day for some reason, and
Yeah.
they're sick. Well, like I've got upholstered seats for a start. They're not, even if I do find somewhere that cleans it, and I pay, they obviously charge a premium if they've been sick.
Yeah, it's got to be more than 60, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it could, even if it's 50 quid and it's taken me 2 hours to drive to the place, then they clean it.
Yeah.
Then I've got to wait for the seats to dry. I'm out of work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just, my occupational hazard.
I
really.
think 60 quid is cheap to like.
Well, and also if someone's hammered, like, how are you going to necessarily get it out of them?
Yeah.
No, I don't want him. Oh, okay.
Yeah, how can you do that?
Like,
You just say.
yeah,
find
like,
it, yeah.
yeah,
You've not had to worry about it yet.
yeah.
Wait, if someone like steps in dog shit and then steps that into your car,
Yeah.
is that the same? Is that?
I guess that's probably soiling, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
You don't even think about any of these things.
No, you
normally,
don't.
do
You don't. Well, one of the sort of cliches when it comes to taxis and stuff is the small talk. So, how often do people get in your taxi and use one of those lines? So, what comes to your head?
Every single time you get in, you been on long?
Yeah.
Working late tonight?
Yeah, yeah. How's your day been, mate?
Been
yeah.
busy, yeah.
Weather. Like, how is that? This is a thing.
The hilarious thing is, I'll phone up my dad sometimes, and he'll just be like, "Right, mate, been busy." Typical sort of guy chat. So I love my dad. I mean, he's great, but yeah.